Welcome to Sleep with Myth. Close your eyes and let the world fade away. Tonight we drift beyond time, where gods dream and stories remember their light. Before the sun learned to rise, before the moon knew how to set, there was a silence deeper than night. It was not emptiness, but rest, the breath between creation and awakening. And from that silence, Hypnos was born. The god of sleep did not walk as others did. He drifted. His wings were shadows of clouds, his hair the color of dim starlight. Where he passed, the world softened. Rivers slowed, hearts eased, and dreams unfurled like petals opening in darkness. He built no palace. His home was wherever peace was needed, in the hush between thunder, in the pause between words, in the tender stillness before the dawn. And in that stillness, he wove the dreams of gods and mortals alike. But Hypnos had never dreamed for himself. Each night he poured visions into mortal hearts: love, fear, memory, hope. Yet when his own eyes closed, there was only silence. Even sleep itself seemed to spare its keeper. Until one morning that was not a morning. A light crept across the horizon, faint and gold, though the sun had not yet stirred. Hypnos opened his eyes, startled by warmth upon his face. The air trembled with something unfamiliar. A sound like laughter and wind, bright and endless. Out of the edge of night came Eos, the goddess of dawn. Her hair shimmered with the first light ever born, her voice the sound of awakening seas. She did not walk. She flowed, carrying day behind her like a gentle tide. When their gazes met, the stars hesitated. "You are not meant to be awake," she said softly, her light brushing his wings. "Sleep should fade before I arrive." "And yet," he murmured, "I am here. Perhaps I have dreamed myself awake." Eos smiled, her eyes glowing like the horizon. "Or perhaps I have wandered too far into your realm." They stood where night and day touched, a space neither one owned. Around them, colors they had never seen began to bloom. Hues that belonged to both twilight and morning, to both forgetting and becoming. The sky shivered, unsure which it wanted to be. "Your world is so still," said Eos. "It feels like breath held too long." "And yours," said Hypnos, "is too bright. It burns what it touches." "Then what lies between us?" she asked. He looked at her, the faint smile of a god who understood longing only through others' dreams. "Perhaps," he said, "something new." In that moment, the boundary between sleep and sunrise blurred. The stars dimmed, the air deepened, and the first dawn dream, neither night nor day, was born. It was a place where dreams began to awaken and light learned to rest. Eos stepped closer, her light softening. "If I stay, the world will never wake." "Then let it dream," said Hypnos. "Just once." The goddess of dawn hesitated. Her hand reached toward his, glowing against the calm darkness of his palm. When they touched, the horizon curved, not as a line, but as a circle. The sun within her heart flickered once, then steadied, golden and serene. The world did not end. Aside, above them, the stars melted into 1,000 colors. The river of the sky began to flow again, and from that flow, the first dawn took shape. gentler than any that would follow, kissed by sleep instead of fire. Hypnos looked to Eos. So this is what dreams of light feel like. And this, she whispered, is what it means to rest. Their hands parted, but the warmth lingered. As Eos rose to carry day across the heavens, a trail of soft mist followed her, the memory of Hypnos's touch. Wherever it drifted, mortals felt a peace they could not name, as though the dawn itself remembered the dream that had made it. Sleep, listener. In the next part, night will return, and Hypnos will begin to wonder whether gods, too, can dream of love. Night returned with a softness the world had never known. Mortals slept as if the sky itself were a cradle. Their dreams were luminous and calm, threaded with a memory none could name, a warmth like morning that did not burn. In fields and cities, on ships and in caves, the sleeping felt the hush of a promise, that the dawn would arrive gentler than before. Hypnos drifted above them, his wings trailing dusk. He watched the dreams he had given unspool like ribbons across the earth. Yet among them moved something unfamiliar, a glow that did not come from him. Wherever it passed, the dreams brightened and steadied, as though anchored by a quiet star. He followed the glow to the horizon and found Eos waiting where the night curved toward day. "You left light in their sleep," he said, surprised by the tenderness in his own voice. Eos's smile was shy, the color of early gold. "And you left rest in their waking. They did not tremble when I rose. Some even smiled." He looked down at the dark world. Small fires pulsed like hearts. "This is new." "It is a bridge," she answered, "between the world I lift and the world you hold." Hypnos closed his eyes. For the first time he felt something like a dream beginning in himself, a shape forming where silence used to be. It was not a vision of command or omen. It was simple. The memory of her hand in his, the circle their touch had made on the horizon, the sigh the world had given in answer. "What do gods dream of?" Eos asked, stepping closer. They stood side by side, listening to the sleeping earth. From the plains drifted a mother's breath against her child's hair. From the sea, the slow, patient song of waves. From stone and forest and distant snow, the quiet of things that endure. All of it moved between them, like tide between two moons. Eos lowered her gaze. "If I linger again, the sun will hesitate." "Let it," Hypnos murmured. "Let morning arrive by listening first." Her laughter was soft, a bright rustle in the dark. "You ask the day to learn from the night. Only once more." The edge of the world deepened to violet. Stars dimmed, not defeated, but content. Hypnos lifted a hand and touched the air above a sleeping village. Dreams rose like mist, memories of fields after rain, of letters never written, of forgiven names. Eos reached toward them, and her light braided through their shapes without breaking them. "They remember the light," she said quietly, astonished, "even with their eyes closed." "And with their eyes open," he answered, "they will remember your gentleness." For a time they spoke without words. He spread calm through the last hours of night. She warmed the first strands of color that threaded the east. Where their powers met, a third thing bloomed, dawn dream, the hush that teaches waking to be kind. Birds tested their voices in low notes. The sea gathered itself without hurry. The first workers rose without dread. "Stay until the rim," Hypnos said. "Then I'll let you go." "I am not captured," she teased. "No," he said, and his voice held a smile she could feel. "You are welcomed." They watched the horizon together. When the dark thinned to a pale breath, Eos turned to him. "There will be a day when I must blaze again. The world needs light that is certain as well as light that listens." "I know," Hypnos said, "but certainty can carry what listening learned. And this," she whispered, "is what it means to rest." Their hands parted, but the warmth lingered. As Eos rose to carry day across the heavens, a trail of soft mist followed her, the memory of Hypnos's touch. Wherever it drifted, mortals felt a peace they could not name, as though the dawn itself remembered the dream that had made it. Sleep, listener. In the next part, night will return, and Hypnos will begin to wonder whether gods, too, can dream of love. Night returned with a softness the world had never known. Mortals slept as if the sky itself were a cradle. Their dreams were luminous and calm, threaded with a memory none could name. A warmth like morning that did not burn. In fields and cities, on ships and in caves, the sleeping felt the hush of a promise, that the dawn would arrive gentler than before. Hypnos drifted above them, his wings trailing dusk. He watched the dreams he had given unspool like ribbons across the earth. Yet among them moved something unfamiliar, a glow that did not come from him. Wherever it passed, the dreams brightened and steadied, as though anchored by a quiet star. He followed the glow to the horizon and found Eos waiting where the night curved toward day. "You left light in their sleep," he said, surprised by the tenderness in his own voice. Eos's smile was shy, the color of early gold. "And you left rest in their waking. They did not tremble when I rose. Some even smiled." He looked down at the dark world. Small fires pulsed like hearts. "This is new." "It is a bridge," she answered, "between the world I lift and the world you hold." Hypnos closed his eyes. For the first time he felt something like a dream beginning in himself, a shape forming where silence used to be. It was not a vision of command or omen. It was simple. The memory of her hand in his, the circle their touch had made on the horizon, the sigh the world had given in answer. "What do gods dream of?" Eos asked, stepping closer. They stood side by side, listening to the sleeping earth. From the plains drifted a mother's breath against her child's hair. From the sea, the slow, patient song of waves. From stone and forest and distant snow, the quiet of things that endure. All of it moved between them, like tide between two moons. Eos lowered her gaze. "If I linger again, the sun will hesitate." "Let it," Hypnos murmured. "Let morning arrive by listening first." Her laughter was soft, a bright rustle in the dark. "You ask the day to learn from the night." Only once more, the edge of the world deepened to violet. Stars dimmed, not defeated, but content. Hypnos lifted a hand and touched the air above a sleeping village. Dreams rose like mist, memories of fields after rain, of letters never written, of forgiven names. Eos reached toward them, and her light braided through their shapes without breaking them. "They remember the light," she said quietly, astonished. "Even with their eyes closed." "And with their eyes open," he answered. "They will remember your gentleness." For a time they spoke without words. He spread calm through the last hours of night. She warmed the first strands of color that threaded the east. Where their powers met, a third thing bloomed: dawn dream, the hush that teaches waking to be kind. Birds tested their voices in low notes. The sea gathered itself without hurry. The first workers rose without dread. "Stay until the rim," Hypnos said. "Then I'll let you go." "I am not captured," she teased. "No," he said, and his voice held a smile she could feel. "You are welcomed." They watched the horizon together. When the dark thinned to a pale breath, Eos turned to him. "There will be a day when I must blaze again. The world needs light that is certain as well as light that listens." "I know," Hypnos said, "but certainty can carry what listening learned." She lifted her hand, and he felt dawn gather within her palm. Not as fire, but as promise. He placed his hand beneath it. For an instant the two forces balanced. Rest above, light below, the world between them like a held note. The note released. Color poured across the sky, but not sharply. It blossomed, as if the day were remembering how to begin. Shadows did not flee. They bowed and slipped aside. When the sun rose, its gold held a trace of blue, like sleep not yet fully left behind. Eos rose with it. Hypnos watched her ascend, the stillness around his wings alive with her warmth. Where she passed, dreams loosened their hold without breaking. Where he lingered, waking did not harden into haste. "Tonight," she called from the light. "Tonight," he answered, and the world between them breathed. The night after Eos's second rising was different. For the first time since the birth of the world, Hypnos did not descend upon the earth to give sleep. He stood at the edge of his realm, a valley woven of mist and shadow, and watched the stars turn like slow embers above him. Every dream he had ever created drifted there, glowing softly, waiting to be called forth again. Yet none belonged to him. He had always been the dream giver, never the dreamer. But now, a warmth lingered beneath his ribs, a memory shaped like light. Eos. Her laughter still lived in the air, faint and golden, like a dawn that refused to end. "Sleep does not take its keeper," he murmured, gazing at his reflection in the river of night. "But perhaps tonight it might." He spread his wings and lay upon the surface of the water. The current did not move. Time in his presence always paused. But as his eyes closed, something unexpected happened. The river began to ripple. He dreamed. At first it was silence, deep and weightless. Then came color, strange and soft, like the hue between blue and gold. Shapes followed, feathers falling upward, stars blooming in slow motion, waves turning to glass. And through all of it a figure approached. Eos. She walked upon the dream as though it were the horizon itself, each step trailing threads of light that curved behind her like music. But this was not the goddess of dawn. She looked at him as no god ever had, not with reverence, but with recognition. "You are dreaming," she said. Her voice was a whisper wrapped in warmth. I thought I could not. Then why do you? Because you stayed. She smiled. Only for a moment. And yet that moment changed everything. Her hand reached toward him, but when their fingers touched, the dream shivered. Colors bled. The water beneath him turned to sky. The sky turned to memory. He felt the edge of waking tug at him, but he resisted. He wanted to see how the dream ended, if it ended. What is this? He asked. This, said Eos, is what you give to mortals every night. Hope that the darkness means something. Then why do I fear it? Because now it belongs to you. She leaned closer, her light reflecting in his half-shut eyes. Do you know what happens when light dreams? He shook his head. It becomes shadow, she said gently. And when shadow dreams, it becomes dawn. The horizon split behind her, not violently, but as if the world were opening its eyes. He saw the first rays of his own dream rising through her. A new kind of dawn, woven from stillness instead of fire. He reached for her again. This time, when their hands met, he did not wake. Instead, he felt her pulse within him, slow, patient, eternal. The dream deepened. Around them, constellations bent, forming patterns neither had seen before. The shape of a wing touching a flame, of a sun cradled in darkness. The universe itself seemed to sigh. Will I remember this when I wake? He asked. Eos tilted her head. If you do, it will no longer be a dream. He wanted to protest, to hold on, but her light began to fade. The stars returned to their rhythm. The river of night resumed its flow. He could feel himself being lifted toward waking, carried by the same tide that had birthed his dream. Just before he opened his eyes, her voice lingered, soft as dawn itself. Sleep well, Hypnos. The day remembers you now. He woke beneath the first pale light of morning. His wings were damp with dew, his chest heavy with the memory of warmth. The world stirred around him, gentle, slower, as if even waking wished to move carefully within his presence. He stood, breathing deeply. The horizon shimmered. For an instant, he thought he saw her there, Eos, pausing at the edge of the sky, her light catching in the quiet curve of his shadow. Then she was gone. The god of sleep closed his eyes once more. This time it was not to give dreams, but to keep one. When dawn came, the sky did not wake. For the first time since the birth of the world, Eos lingered beyond the horizon. The chariot of day waited, the horses restless, the sun suspended. Yet the goddess did not call them forward. The air hung in a pale half-light, caught between night's dream and morning's promise. She stood alone in the valley where shadows and light met, the place where she had once found Hypnos. The memory of his voice clung to her skin, quiet as mist. She could still feel the warmth of his dream within her chest, steady as a heartbeat that wasn't hers. The stars above dimmed but did not vanish, as if waiting for her decision. The earth below stirred but did not move. Even time seemed to pause, patient, kind. Eos raised her hand. A faint light pulsed from her palm. Not gold, not fire, but soft silver, the hue of rest. Why does my light feel heavy? She whispered. A voice answered, not from the air but from within her. Because you have carried it too long. She turned, and for an instant, thought she saw him standing there. Hypnos, eyes calm as rivers before dawn. But it was only memory, flickering like a reflection on water. Still, his presence lingered, echoing through her thoughts. You gave me something, she said softly, a piece of stillness. And you gave me something, the memory replied, a reason to wake. The horizon trembled. The colors that usually sang her arrival stayed hushed, waiting. She stepped forward, her feet brushing mist. Each movement stirred ripples through the air, soft waves that carried her light outward, but not upward. The world began to glow from within instead of above. Across the land, mortals stirred but did not open their eyes. They felt the warmth of dawn without the glare of it, a radiance that touched them through their dreams. Children smiled in their sleep. The sea shimmered with twilight gold. Birds rested with their wings folded, content to wait. Eos felt tears burn her lashes. If I rise, this peace will vanish. A whisper came from the still sky. Then rest with them. But the world needs light. So does the dark. She closed her eyes. The words sank into her like the tide. The pulse within her heart, the dream Hypnos had given, beat once, twice, then matched the rhythm of the sleeping world. Around her, everything deepened, colors melting into one another. There was no separation between dawn and night anymore, only balance. She spread her hands and let her light flow freely. It did not climb the heavens. It settled across the earth like a sigh. Mountains glowed from within. Rivers shimmered beneath their surfaces. The moon, still hanging low, caught the reflection and softened its glow to mirror her. Far below, Hypnos stirred in his shadowed realm. His eyes opened, slow and golden, as if he already knew what she had done. You've learned, he whispered. Even light can rest. In that moment, their realms intertwined. His dream stretched upward, her light folded downward, and for a heartbeat the two became one. The world wrapped in something new, the first true peace. The gods of Olympus felt it but did not understand. They looked to the heavens and saw no sun, no stars, only a calm glow that neither began nor ended. Some feared it was the end of all things. Others, wiser, bowed their heads and slept. When Eos finally opened her eyes, she saw that her light no longer burned. It breathed. The horizon was no longer something to cross. It was a place to be. She smiled faintly, her voice a whisper the world could not hear. If I do not rise, perhaps the world will learn to wake gently. Above her, the stars began to hum, softly at first, then brighter, until their music carried into every dream below. The dawn she had forgotten to bring had already arrived, not in the sky, but in the hearts of all who rested. The sky dreamed, not of stars or storms, but of stillness, that rare music between one heartbeat and the next. It was in this hush that Hypnos felt her again. He stood upon the edge of the world, where the veil of night brushed against the soft curve of dawn. The air shimmered with pale gold. The horizon breathed in silver. Every sound was quiet, as if the universe itself were holding its breath for what was about to happen. She came without the blaze of sunrise. Her light was gentler now, veiled in lavender and pearl. Hypnos, the goddess of dawn, and the only being who had ever made the god of sleep awaken within himself. You linger between worlds again, Hypnos said softly, his voice as calm as deep water. Eos smiled, her eyes reflecting both the moon and the promise of day. And you still dream with your eyes open. I learned from the best. She laughed, a sound so delicate it rippled through the clouds. The color of morning deepened around them, not brighter, but warmer. The stars above did not vanish this time. They lingered, shining faintly in the blue. For a while neither spoke, the space between them filled with memory. Their first meeting, the touch that curved the horizon, the dream that had made the dawn softer. All of it hummed quietly in the air like a half-remembered lullaby. Finally, Eos said, "When I forgot to rise, the gods whispered that I had broken the rhythm of the world." "And did you?" asked Hypnos. She shook her head. "No, I only listened to it." He nodded slowly. "Then you heard what I've always known, that the world does not end when it rests." Their gazes met, light and shadow interwoven. For the first time, neither tried to move toward the other. The space between them was no longer a boundary but a balance. Eos stepped closer. Her light brushed his face, soft as dawn fog. "When I close my eyes now," she said, "I see your dreams. They shape the colors of morning. And when I sleep," he whispered, "I hear your light breathing. It keeps the dark from falling silent." Their hands met, and the world stilled. Not frozen, simply pausing to remember what peace felt like. From their touch radiated a circle of calm that spread across heaven and earth. Where it passed, storms quieted, oceans slowed. Mortals woke without fear and fell asleep without sorrow. "You see," Hypnos said, "even light can sleep." Eos smiled faintly, "And shadow can shine." They sat together on the horizon, two gods who had once ruled separate realms, now sharing a single breath. Above them, constellations bent to form new shapes. Not hunters or heroes, but a simple curve, the arc of unity. Below them, rivers mirrored the pattern, winding through mountains like threads of light and rest entwined. Eos tilted her head against his shoulder. "Tell me," she murmured, "what do your dreams say of me?" "They say you are the warmth that lets silence live, the dawn that remembers the dark." Her eyes glimmered. "And yours? You are the stillness that teaches the sun to whisper." He felt her laughter through his chest, a small, radiant pulse that melted into his calm. Together, they watched the world turn beneath them, its rhythm newly gentle. For the first time since creation, night and day existed side by side, not in opposition, but in harmony. As the hours passed, their powers began to weave together. Hypnos's shadow curved around Eos's light like the petals of a flower around its heart. She breathed light into his stillness. He wrapped calm around her glow. The world beneath felt the change. Dreams grew brighter, and dawns grew kinder. "You know," Eos whispered, her voice barely more than wind, "if we stay like this, neither of us will rule again. Night will never truly fall, and morning will never truly rise." Perhaps that is the point, said Hypnos. Perhaps the world was never meant to be divided. Her gaze softened. And what of us? We are what remains when boundaries fade. The horizon shimmered, trembling between gold and blue. Around them, the air deepened, not dark, not light, but something whole. It was the first eternal twilight, a moment that never hurried to become anything else. Eos rested her head against his. Then let the world turn as it will. For once, let the dawn sleep beside the dream. And so she did. Her light folded into his shadow, her warmth into his quiet. The world did not shatter. It exhaled, a long, contented sigh that rippled through creation. Mortals would remember that night without knowing why. They would wake with a peace that lingered, a calm between breaths, as if the sun and the moon had held hands in their dreams. The world rested between breaths. For a time that was not measured, night and day existed as one, the twilight of peace. No storms raged, no shadows fled, no flames demanded to rise. The rivers glowed softly beneath the stars, and the stars glimmered within the rivers. Creation itself seemed to be sleeping with open eyes. In that quiet, Hypnos and Eos lay side by side upon the horizon. Her light pulsed through his stillness. His calm breathed through her glow. They were not opposites anymore, they were rhythm. The world turned upon that rhythm, not knowing whether to call it dream or day. Eos whispered, "Do you hear it?" Hypnos listened. Beneath their silence, the sound of mortal hearts stirred. The world was beginning to wake. "I do," he said gently. "They are calling for you." "And for you," she replied. "They cannot rise without rest. They cannot dream without dawn." She turned to him, her hair glowing like clouds before sunrise. "What happens if we remain as we are? Then time will stop. The world will dream forever, but never truly live. And if we part?" He smiled faintly. "Then the dream will awaken, and so will we." Eos's light flickered softly. "I do not wish to leave your side." "And I," said Hypnos, "do not wish to wake. But love is not keeping still. It is learning how to move together." She closed her eyes. Between them, the air shimmered, not with sorrow, but with understanding. The horizon beneath them began to brighten, the first true dawn in many ages. Its colors were new, not gold alone, nor blue, but every shade born of their meeting. Rose, violet, amber, silver. Light painted shadow. Shadow softened light. Eos breathed in deeply. "Will I see you again?" He brushed his hand against her cheek, a gesture so gentle that even the wind forgot to move. Every dawn dreams of night, and every dream remembers the dawn. We were never apart. She smiled through her tears. "Then let the world wake." And so, for the first time, the goddess of dawn rose, not to banish the dark, but to carry its peace within her. Her light spread across the sky like a memory of love. The clouds parted in silence, touched not by fire, but by calm. Where her glow reached, rivers shimmered and hearts steadied. The morning did not arrive, it blossomed. Hypnos watched from below, his wings folding around him like a sigh. The warmth she left lingered, soft and eternal. As her light rose higher, his shadow deepened, not as absence, but as promise. For where light rested, he would wait, and where sleep lingered, she would rise. Above, the stars dimmed one by one, but none were lost. They simply turned inward, becoming the quiet sparks behind mortal eyes, the small, unseen dreams that keep waking gentle. And from that morning onward, the world remembered. Dawn never came in haste again. Every sunrise carried a trace of twilight, and every night a whisper of gold. Between them lay a harmony that could never be broken, a gift born from a dream that dared to awaken itself. Eos lifted the sun beyond the clouds and looked once more toward the horizon. In the deep blue below, she saw him, Hypnos, eyes closed, smiling faintly. His stillness filled her light with peace. "Sleep well, my love," she whispered to the fading stars. "And wake kindly," came the echo across the wind. The dawn shimmered, soft, endless, whole. Thank you for listening to Sleep with Myth.